The surge of migrants illegally crossing our southern border showing no signs of slowing down, and now Texas is taking action. The state forging ahead with its own efforts to finish the border wall. Texas Land Commissioner George P. Bush joins us now. Commissioner, good to see you. In addition to that, which I want to talk about in a second, you're suing the Biden White House, saying that the president just can't ignore money that's been appropriated by Congress and say, I'm not going to build the border wall with it. The lawsuit says, quote, this lawsuit is not about whether border walls are effective. It is about whether a president may unilaterally override those duly enacted appropriation bills to fulfill a campaign promise. Make the case for us.
So the Constitution is very clear that under Article 1, Congress has power to the purse, and under Article 2, the president must faithfully execute the laws duly enacted by that Congress. And over the course of 4 consolidated appropriations between 17 and 21, $5 billion was appropriated to complete either rehab or newly developed 750 miles of wall. 450 were complete, but that still leaves 300 miles. And so with north of about 1.3 billion left in the coffers of the Corps of Engineers, my lawsuit and where the state of Texas has standing has resulted in economic damage to the state lands at or near border areas. And that's why we're bringing this case to compel the federal government to do their job, to follow through and faithfully execute the laws that were appropriated by the Congress under the Trump administration days.
At the same time, Commissioner, as we mentioned, the state of Texas, Governor Abbott taking steps to complete the border wall on a state level. You have signed an emergency authorization to allow state lands to be built upon. There's $250 million in state funds that have been set aside. About $500,000 has been raised through public crowdfunding. What else do you need to begin construction on those remaining 300 miles?
Well, regretfully, there's a lot of federal environmental laws that we're dealing with that actually in some cases could require up to 5 years of permit wait time. So at the state level, what we're doing right now on the front end is to start contracting with a lot of the same entities that we're doing the Trump border wall, signing them up, getting them diligenced and ready to go. We're also going to utilize temporary fencing and, of course, virtual fencing. People forget that the taxpayers of Texas fund in excess of about $1 billion as it is to supplement the efforts of Border Patrol along our line. But we've got a lot of folks that we're dealing with, 200,000 apprehensions, it looks like, in the month of June, and potentially 2 million apprehensions this year alone.
You're the Texas Land Commissioner. As we mentioned, you deal with all of the state lands down there in addition to other issues. I wanted to ask you about Mitch McConnell telling President Biden to drop his nominee to be the director of the Bureau of Land Management. Tracy Stone Manning had some involvement with Earth First in a tree spiking incident some years ago in Idaho. I wanted to get your thoughts on all of that.
Well, the leader is making the absolute call here. Our agency deals a lot with Interior and also with Bureau of Land Management, and we're accustomed to seeing radical environmentalists be appointed and nominated to these very important positions. Bureau of Land Management, especially in the oil and gas space, has an important role, an outsized role. But this nomination really pales in comparison to what we need in this position. And so let's call for her to be, and the president would do the right thing by pulling this nomination down. She's unfortunately backed violence in terms of promoting her progressive agenda in the past. Let's try to find somebody within the mainstream that can be a better land manager of federal lands.
All right. Well, we'll see if the president takes your advice. And Mr. Commissioner, we'll also stay in touch with you on this effort by the state of Texas to finish off the wall. Appreciate you being with us today, George P. Bush.
Thank you, John.